Yeah, she absolutely reeked of pumpkin spice. Yes. Yeah, she was pumpkin spicing the most. It's time to take a therapeutic dose, a prescription strength reality TV podcast that explores the intersection of reality TV and therapy. Possible side effects may include entertainment, strong emotional reactions, and/or laughter. Here are your hosts, Ramona Ramirez and Margie McGee.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to A Therapeutic Dose, where we meet at the intersection of reality TV and therapy. I am Margie McGee, and with me, as always, is my dear friend and co-host.
Hello, everyone. I am Ramona Ramirez. Margie, it's lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you as well.
Yay.
We're back to talk about Orange County, which is starting to drill us both into the ground slowly. I'm just being ground into a fine powder by
Honestly.
this boulder of, I don't know, tragedy and also inane BS.
Yeah.
It's a weird combination.
Skewed priorities, the dark depths of humanity, full hip, all sponsored by Aloe, apparently this week. Like if I had seen one more fucking piece of Aloe merch that clearly had just been, yanked out of the bag because the hat still had creases in them and shit. Like, God, really? Do we need an Aloe fake fur jacket? Like,
Yeah,
I'm not looking for my foe to have a big old tag sewed onto the side. Jesus.
Now, in fairness, I love Aloe clothing, and one of my favorite sweatsuits is the coziest thing from their collection. But I agree, it was distracting.
Yeah.
The scene where Jen and Katie were talking, and Katie was in that like head to toe chocolate brown, and her sleeve was just like centered in frame. And I was like,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah,
She's wearing
exactly.
an Aloe jacket, guys.
Exactly.
Can we recenter the shot so we can see the girls?
So
Whatever.
insane. So ridiculous.
Yeah. And
Emily's jacket set me over the edge.
Which one was that? Was
The
that
faux
the
fur?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
That was crazy. It was all insane.
It was ridiculous. But yes, this is season 18, episode 10 of The Real Housewives of Orange County, Catwalks and Cat Fights. And yeah, you hear that like acid in my tongue right now. It's just, why are we're still talking about the same bullshit 10 weeks in? I don't care anymore, Heather. I don't care anymore, Katie. I don't care anymore, Gina. And Alexis, Lexi, you can tell me 50,000 times again how you're being hurt as much as Shannon is. The fact that you and John Jansen are making everybody rally behind a woman that still doesn't understand the magnitude of her actions that night in November. Plus, I don't know if you watched Watch What Happens Live after the episode.
I tried, but talk about being offended. I was like,
Fucking A.
Andy Cohen couldn't talk. The two of them were sitting there like they were already fired. It was Katie and Alexis. And John Jansen is Shannon said it, he's a monster. Like he's frightening. And I hate people who are so hard to pin down because they say one thing and do the exact opposite. Like, this is a man who claimed he hated the spotlight and the housewife spotlight in particular. And here he is on Watch What Happens in New York City. What are you doing? With didn't he have like a scarf on? And
he had a scarf. He had on a scarf with a snakeskin pattern, and he had on a collarless leather jacket and a white t-shirt. He went full fucking, I don't know what kind of crisis you call this, but again, this was an example of the clothes wearing the man, not the man wearing the clothes.
I mean, it was borderline like Ryan, like
Looked
Jen's
like a
boyfriend. I was like,
fool.
you look like
Straight
an
up.
idiot.
Straight
and then
up.
he was there saying that he's not signing the non-disclosure agreement because, and Andy asked, like, what are you upset about? And he's like, well, she said I didn't pay for anything. And she said I'm an alcoholic. And I was
She said I called her fat.
Right. Yeah. And I was like, these are normal things that are part of a breakup. It just indicates you were a bad match. And you're suing over you are a terrible
He's a terrible person.
And Alexis is a disgusting jackass for aligning with him. It's amazing to me.
She the whole time you could tell that when she was answering the questions, she was like looking at him.
It was like Tom Schwartz when he was looking at Tom Sandoval as to how to answer questions.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It was just gross. Like, really, Alexis, this is what you want for yourself? this is what you want for yourself.
Some man is better than no man.
I guess we've all been there.
Well,
I've
and
been
she's
there.
just like raised, steeped in that. And like, it's just, but it was weird. There was a moment where Shannon and Jen were talking outside the dinner, and Shannon said, it was very parallel to Vanderpump Rules, because Shannon said like, oh, John coached me before we would film. So I know what he's doing with Alexis. He's coaching her too. And I was like, ooh, that's exactly what Tom Sandoval did with Ariana and Raquel.
Mm-hmm.
The difference with Shannon is that she's far less sympathetic than Ariana, So it's like, well, it falls a little flat. But it is interesting, like for someone who hates all things TV and exposure to be strategizing for this upcoming season with whatever girlfriend he's in bed with at the time is just like, you're weird.
Yeah. Oh, God.
It's weird.
It's gross.
Just not hot enough to be that awful.
Oh, my God. That
like,
is.
Please give us something more than.
You're right.
Like an ascot in a snakeskin jacket if you're going to be this big of a douche.
Like a 65-year-old Luke from Summer House.
I love that you're still obsessed.
I can't help it. I can't help it.
I know. That's what's so complicated about Luke. It's like,
God.
There's no there, and yet look at that.
There's no there, but yes.
But look at him. And he makes a ring. He'll make a piece of jewelry, and
he
it's like,
will.
Okay. He'll make a piece of furniture.
Right?
Okay.
He'll listen to Maya. He'll listen to Maya and give her a sympathetic hug.
I know.
And you're like, oh, yeah. And Minnesota lake house, like he doesn't care about the Hamptons. He just wants to go to his Minnesota lake house.
With his parents. He likes his parents. Like, that's cute. Yeah.
Talks to his sister.
And then yeah.
And then you're like, when you're dating someone like you, Luke, you're like, well, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at all these things.
It's at least Luke makes it challenging because he's complicated. John Jansen is just like, you're only gross and yet you pull tail. So I guess congratulations on that, you weirdo.
Orange County, gross.
I know.
So we pick up where we left off with Heather and Shannon. I believe that they're in Shannon's room. And in Heather's confessional, she says, I'm very concerned about Shannon. She's so fragile and so broken. I'm very worried about her. And then when we pivot back to the scene, she's basically low-key insisting / persuading her to go to dinner with everyone. Let's throw some glam at the problem. Like, ooh, after the day that Shannon had, if I was truly worried about my friend's well-being, I would have said, you need to, listen, if you want to stay in your room and throw some room service and some Netflix at the situation, I probably have a gummy in my purse. You take the night off and you relax. You're in no space. Show or no show, that was a gnarly day. Filming or no filming, that was a catastrophic, crisis-filled afternoon for her. And Heather's like, I'm concerned about you, but also put on some makeup and go to dinner. And I swear Shannon was saying, like, I can't go to dinner. I can't go. And anyway.
So Shannon is my Sutton of this franchise.
Okay,
and
yes.
So I interpreted that as Heather being like, if Shannon goes back to her room, she will drink herself into oblivion.
My God.
She needs to be around human beings.
Oh my
and
God.
I need to keep an eye on her. Because when she said, I'm concerned about her, that's how I interpret it. Okay. Nothing in her inflection would indicate that. But again, it's me projecting my own stuff onto it. So I thought, and Heather, there's a lot in this episode. To me, it feels like there's a lot of everyone knows Shannon is an alcoholic. Everyone knows Shannon is drunk when she showed up at the forest, stumbling in, slurring and laying down and giggling and whatever. There's a lot of people knowing there's a huge problem and trying to manage it for the cameras. And anyways, that's how I interpreted that. But hearing you, I'm like, yeah.
No,
if Shannon was a normal person, everything you said is like, absolutely crawl into the cozy covers and like see you, in tomorrow.
Right. Right. This is why I love discussing this with you, because I am so convinced every time I see something that I see exactly what's going on, and I do not.
Well, but I
remain humble and teachable throughout discussing these Orange County cast members.
Likewise, I'm sure. And then Shannon does come back to Heather's room to get glam. And there was this moment where the hairstylist, who I also think was drunk, because she kind of like slurred, like, you know, I never like John Jansen.
She did seem, yeah, I got that. She's
and I
wearing...
also, when people say that to me after a breakup, it's so unhelpful.
Yeah.
Like, try harder. If the problem is the person who has broken up with this person loved them, and they still do, which is why they still have feelings about it. Eventually, indifference comes. It does with all relationships. But in the beginning, I always hate it when people say to me, like, ugh, I hated him anyways. Or like, he had a stupid laugh. Or like, we all hated him. And I'm like, great. I loved him. And I was in it for years.
Right.
So like, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Like, thank you, slurring makeup artist with your, I don't know.
With your Christian Girl fall hat.
Truly. Yes. Oh my God. She was in full pumpkin spice. Her whole outfit
absolutely
was
reeked of pumpkin spice. Yes. Yeah. She was pumpkin spicing the most.
She was. Yes. Her pumpkin spice was strong, but her helpfulness was dismissive and weak and lame. And then the whole episode for me, it just feels like this long game of telephone that like finally sort of erupts in that last meal. But, you know, we have Emily going to Alexis's room to tell her that Shannon learned about the videos from Gina, and Shannon was distraught. And Alexis is a dick, and she's like, it's not just Shannon's side of the story, you know? Like, it's not just everyone feels sorry for Shannon, and nobody said that. It's just, anyways. And then we cut to Heather, Tamara, and Shannon at the bar, where Heather orders espresso martinis for her and Tamara, and Shannon, in her like meek little voice, is like, I'll have a Belvedere and soda. It's been a hard day. And I thought Tamara was right on when she said this is Shannon's MO. She orders a drink to give the illusion of control. If she stopped drinking, then that would appear to people that she's admitting she has a problem. If she drinks with reason and control, then she can try to make it seem like, you know, she's managing this just fine. But the next morning, in my opinion, nothing was managed. Shannon was like an absolute wasteoid, just like, you know, whatever. She's my dad. I've seen my dad like that many a morning when he's supposed to show up at events, and you open the door and he's like, huh, bleary-eyed, and then comes stumbling up hours later. This happened at a summer. I was doing summer stock one year, and he was supposed to come to this like barbecue, and he was barfing in the morning.
My God. Oh my
and I showed up to the barbecue without him. My friends were like, oh yeah, we saw your dad out at the bars last night. I was like, what? And he didn't tell me that, of course. And then he showed up later looking like pale and just sickly and hungover. And so anyways, so I put all of that onto Shannon. You know what I mean? I was like,
fair, very fair. Yeah, very fair. Yeah, Yeah, I can see that. I can see how, yeah, again, because I just immediately am like, shut the fuck up, Tamara. Like, shut up. Like, you're so judgy about it. It's true. Like, all the compassion is gone. But to be fair, I haven't been there for the duration of their friendship when they were speaking. And how many times must Tamara have heard XYZ? Because at the end of the day, as sympathetic as I am to Shannon, I also know what's on the other side is that she is an emotional vampire.
Mm.
And she sucks the life out of her friends that also feel like me and also feel like a lot of the viewers this season, that she's being maligned. Did I use that correctly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, God.
Like she's marginalized. Like,
yes, she's being
out of.
She's the identified patient. And whether she deserves it or not, like, you know, everyone's scrutinizing what she's doing. And but Tamara she's running a deficit as far as me giving her the benefit of the doubt. She's running a deficit.
As this episode goes on, she is just vile. Every chance she gets, she sucker punches Shannon. So it's just like, okay. In this moment, I thought she had an interesting assessment. And then from here on out, I was like, oh, you are so mean.
Mm-hmm.
You're so cruel.
Yeah.
It's remarkable.
Yeah. And then we go back to Emily in Lexi's room, and she's trying to use the woman-to-woman approach with her, and it's just failing. And Alexis says that if she and John Jansen were playing dirty, the videos would already be out. And Emily says, but you're telling people about them. And then Alexis doubles down and says she's crying and she's like, she's trying and Shannon is still being horrible to John Jansen. I don't think that she is. She's not even bringing him up. She wants him out of her rearview mirror, probably faster than like would be natural, you know, given the breakup happened 6 months previous and they were together for 5 years, 3 years.
At least, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she's crying about it. Alexis has a level, she says, like this investment is taking a toll on her emotionally that's not commensurate to how long she's been in the situation or what she thinks she knows. It's just crying over John Jansen.
Alexis, this was very strange because Alexis was all pissed off that the videos got brought up in the middle of a charity weekend. She's like, why would you do that? I'm like, because you're in the middle of suing her. She's on the phone with her lawyer trying to settle this lawsuit with your boyfriend. What do you mean? You brought this up. You did this.
Yeah.
You started the season by saying, like, I have your man. There's the door, Shannon. Like, you're not trying.
No.
You're not trying at all. You're being an aggressive, see you next Tuesday. And this whole thing fell flat for me when she was like, I am trying. And then she's like, I'll just stay in. And Emily was like, okay.
Right.
And just left for dinner. And I was like, good.
She put her aloe faux fur hoodie back on and she trotted off to dinner in her high heels to walk in the pebbles.
I know.
Oh, God. Dinner sans Alexis. Tamara's a dick. News at 11. I don't know what else to say about this dinner. You have anything else to say about this dinner?
No, just, Tamara is just insane, suggesting that Shannon just talk to her. Just talk to Alexis? Are you kidding? Like, they're in an active lawsuit, first of all. So I feel like they shouldn't be just talking anyway.
That's a very fair point. Yeah.
It's just insane. It did make me laugh when we had a couple character defining moments where Heather in a confessional goes like, you know what's bigger than the issues between Alexis and Shannon? Me, basically. She's like, my event. I was like,
God.
I was like,
my
oh my
God.
She did say, family equality is bigger. My event is bigger. I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
You're like, she really is the Wizard of Oz here. Like this whole season is just completely Heather centric. And that moment I was like, wow.
And it's like, even though she has this opportunity with this event in these last few episodes to really keep the focus on that, she cannot. Okay, I need to really think about how to say this. I want to be clear and I want to be succinct. And I want to do it without having to go on 10 tangents. Heather has an opportunity to show us the side of her that is really committed to a cause like family equality. And yet it's still eclipsed by how much judgment and control and lack. Okay, here's what it is. Here's what it is, Margie. It is an utter lack of willingness to have any kind of curiosity about what is going on Katie's end or with any of these other fucking fools. There is no curiosity. Heather has made her ruling. She's banged her gavel. The envelope is sealed, and there is no curiosity on her part whatsoever. It is her way or the highway. It's her moral rules or you're wrong. And I am so bored. And it's unappealing. It's repellent. It's a lot of things. Emily feels like the only one that's willing to be curious. Which is a real 180 from where she was at the beginning of the season. But that's what I'm saying. You have a little bit of humility. You show a little bit of humility, a little bit of humanity, and my compassion for you will come back in spades. Heather has little spots of it. When she and Terry were crying at the event, when when people say our kids are lucky to have us and we're lucky to have them, okay, more of that. But even the way she approaches, I don't know, she's just not curious about shit. She is so high on her own supply.
Yeah. And I don't really sense a real spirit of inclusion with her. Like,
absolutely not.
I don't really feel like any of the other parents at this event were part of that. I think she was just congratulating herself and Terry on being like really good at what we do.
Right.
We got a hard hand, guys, and no one better to handle it than us. And it's like, and the fact that the proceeds from the pre-sale of her basics, that's the only portion that's going to this charity. Donate all of the proceeds because nothing's going to sell. Like, what are you doing? You're so stingy. Yuck.
Yeah. Oh, I have lots to say.
Okay. Sorry, we'll get there.
Lots to say. Oh, don't worry. Yes. Let's see. So
we do have Shannon saying that she'll never, ever be in the same room as Alexis again. Well, tomorrow. I'll be in the same room tomorrow. But then after that, never again.
That was hilarious. She's like, well, great. I realized that. That made me laugh. Yes.
And then we had the editors really going in with Emily again. They're really back in the turkey sandwich days. Emily at the dinner table, they made a big meal of her like eating cheese, and some of the cheese fell down her dress. And so she pulled the cheese out of her dress to eat. And later we have her eating biscuits like in black and white and slow motion. And it's just like, you guys.
Yeah, you know what? That's
really not
up.
It's just not funny. I know you think it's funny, but like, did you see her reaction to how she was doing in her body this episode? Like, maybe this is not the one to be a clown, like make her into a food clown. So I was not amused.
I wasn't. You're right. You're right. Then the morning after, Heather goes to Alexis's room, and I don't even remember why. Oh, God, I'm sorry.
Because it was just a recap, like, how was the night? And for Alexis to say, I stayed in my room for 13 hours. I was like, so 8 were sleeping. You probably take 2 hours to get ready. And then, I don't know, you watch 3 episodes of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Like,
right.
I don't know how to feel bad for you. Like, that seems fine.
You didn't have to, wear your heels and have your feet come home and have your feet hurt. Like, you just put the robe on from the room and chill the fuck out. Yeah.
She's ridiculous.
She's ridiculous. She's absolutely ridiculous. And then Jen and Katie have a little aside, and Katie wants to rehash shit with Heather again. Like, God. Katie, I love you. I want to love you. But between Watch What Happens Live and this episode, like, I'm starting to fall off that train, and I don't want to. I want to stay on. I want to stay in the seat.
Yeah.
I want to stay in the seat for you.
Thing I appreciated her saying was like, I just want Heather to listen to me like I'm a person.
Yes.
Because I honestly feel like Katie wouldn't even think this was such a big deal if she hadn't been cut off now 2 times.
Yep.
Trying to just be heard. It's that whole like, the St. Francis prayer, like try to understand rather than be understood, Heather. Give this girl 5 fucking minutes just to say her piece and then move on. Once people feel like they've been heard, they can move on. But if you just keep saying like, no, we're going backwards, it just like keeps it alive in them. If you let them air it out, then you guys can either talk about what you misunderstood or continue to disagree on and then move on.
Oh.
But Heather's such a controlling nightmare, which again just makes me believe Terry had an affair, which is the opposite of what she wants. Again, this all goes back to Disney pics.
Okay.
This whole thing is so stupid.
Okay. Yeah. This episode was interesting when you look at it, when you really look at Terry and Heather. And whatever arrangements a couple makes together in their marriage, in their relationship, whatever arrangement they have, as long as it's consensual, and it is literally none of my business. If their relationship is just business, if they are able to pursue other things recreationally and they understand that, that's fine. But like,
I've said it before, I'll say it again. Neither of them are compelling enough for me to give a shit who they're in bed with.
Yep.
It's not Sandoval and Ariana. Ariana was like the sweetest, most honest goddess, and Sandoval portrayed himself as the same. So when that broke, our sweet queen had been injured by a secret monster. There was real intrigue, like that's a real like Grimm's fairy tale right there.
Yes.
If Heather and Terry's robot asses are in bed with someone else or no one ever again in their, I don't care. I just don't care. And it doesn't reflect on either one of them in any meaningful way for me. I don't think Heather's being made a fool of if Terry's boning secretary. Like, I just don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who cares?
I don't
Anyways.
care. I don't care. Right. If their holy matrimony is only based on, real estate, I don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
I am just sick of the both of them. I'm sick of them. I'm sick.
Same.
Sick.
Agree. It's been a lot.
It's been so much. It's just been too
every
much
episode.
Heather.
Yes. And too much Terry, honestly. He's been in every episode too, being hilarious Beverly penthouse dwelling Terry playing billiards with his kid. Get out of here.
We can't hang shit on the wall.
I don't know how to be a carpet. Get out. Just go away.
God.
Anyways,
right.
Speaking of Heather, she rolls up on this conversation and she asks where Shannon is. And this is where like the big drunk saga of Shannon, in my opinion, starts unraveling. Jen says she went to get Shannon in the morning, and they show a flashback of Jen showing up at Shannon's door, and Shannon opens the door just completely disheveled. In my opinion, she looks drunk. And Shannon says, like, I think you had a fever last night from the stress. And Jen goes, yeah, it's from the stress. Like, in my opinion, she was clearly saying, like, stress is code for Belvedere.
It's totally for Belvedere. You're right. She probably DoorDashed some stuff and stayed up all night getting wasted.
Yeah, and I think
sorry.
And then we find out Heather asks, like, she's sleeping at 12:30 in the afternoon, and I was like, oh shit, like that is
on a shooting day, dude.
Yeah,
on a shooting day.
She doesn't make her paycheck if she don't show up, which I think is why some producer rolled her out with her crazy hair and her Spanx sweatsuit and put her into that forest, because it's like, if you want to pay your John Jansen settlement, you got to show up, and you're wasted. But didn't she seem wasted? Am I crazy?
I don't know if she seemed wasted, but it's been a long time since I've seen someone who was drunk in the morning still from the night before. So I totally believe you that she would have, but hungover and had, like, she sought out a bottle after that dinner. I'm convinced of it.
Easily, for sure.
And if Popov was all they had on the 7-Eleven menu to get DoorDash to her room, it was going to be Popov. It was going to be Smirnoff. It was going to be like the 7-Eleven brand of vodka. Like, it didn't even have to be fucking Belvedere last night. It was one of those nights.
Doing shots of Listerine.
Honestly.
Honestly,
that's what was going on. Yes.
Then we split into two groups, and we have Emily, Alexis, Gina, and Tamara who go baking with Mags. And then Katie, Jen, Heather, and eventually Shannon stumbling into this forest bathing thing. Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
It is excruciating. Like when Shannon was like, meditating is so hard. Listening to stuff like this is so hard. I would love to participate in forest bathing. I think that it would be such a beneficial practice in how to be mindful and just to notice, observe how my mind wants to wander, and how just to see what kind of a practice like that, an exercise like that, how, if it makes me itchy. And I'm saying if because I know it would at some point. My thoughts wander. I need to bring them back. That's the whole deal. It's fine. But I appreciated oh God, what's the words on the tip of my tongue? I appreciated the dichotomy between, like, these women who are always up in their heads having to do something where it's like, what sound do you hear? One by one, what sound do you hear? And then there's Jen, who's the one that's like really fucking into it and taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Heather couldn't even lie down.
Heather's so...
She
just didn't want to go to the bakery because there's like food, there's
carbs
gluten there.
And butter.
So she was like, I guess I'll sit in the forest.
Right.
But yeah, Shannon shows up. She just stumbles in with her hair all askew, and she enters, instead of saying, sorry, I'm late, she just goes, I didn't bring a hairbrush. And then just like sits down and puts a blanket over her. And she did say, meditation is hard for me because my mind is always working. And I was like, well, that is the classic characteristic of an addict. It's why we fill in the blank, whatever your, self-destructive behavior of choice is, drink, use drugs, eat and barf, starve, like
cigarette shop.
spend, yes, whatever. That is to me, that was just an admission of like, oh, you have the illness. Like, I hope
Yeah.
you get treatment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then with the bakers, I don't know.
Emily tells Tamara that she doesn't seem compassionate at all with Shannon. And
True.
Tamara says it's because of the drink ordering. And Gina says, hey, hold up. I had issues too. That's not the reason why. Again, just to give Tamara a little eighth of a teaspoon of the benefit of the doubt. She and Shannon were close for many years. And I do believe Tamara when she said she was on the receiving end of a lot of woe is me, Eeyore as fuck phone calls. I have no doubt. I believe
Yes.
it. But it also feels like Tamara she's just going to that other side of the spectrum, just like I'm going to be besties with Alexis, who is for all intents and purposes the Robin to the Batman of the person that's got it out for Shannon the most. And it's like she's just digging in that knife and twisting it and adding salt on repeat. And that's all Tamara is doing this season.
And she's abandoning ship at the most critical moment. Like,
right.
Yes, it was years of Eeyore phone calls and woe is me and poor me and drunk me. But she just ran into a house. She's being sued for $75,000 on the heels of paying $300,000 to Alexis's husband. Like, this is the moment when you choose to be like, you know what?
Tough love.
I'm fed up.
Right.
It's like,
right.
Why don't you meet her at her bottom? Witness her there and say like, I'm up here with my hand extended. All you have to do is reach and like, I'll take you to rehab. I will, go to meetings with you. Like there's a way to be a friend. And when someone's at a bottom like that, that's not abandoning ship and getting in bed with her ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend. It's just so egregious.
But Tamara's a Christian, Margie. She's
sorry.
a Christian.
Oh, and Alexis, I guess, shared some vulnerable things. So she's like, yeah.
Two Christian women walking in the path of Christ.
So stupid.
Such hypocrites.
Full
fucking hit, man. I love how the Guerneville business owners do not suffer any of these Orange County fools. It's like you cannot get more like opposite polar ends of the spectrum.
You could tell both of them, Jenny, the forest whisperer, and Megs, the baker, were just like, no.
Yeah.
You guys.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Because Mags, at this point, Alexis is telling everyone to like, just butt out of our business and let us all like figure out how to be friends. Which, by the way, is just not possible since Alexis is like
stupid.
The tent pole of her existence is ripping on Shannon and defending Johnny J. So fine. But Mags enters and cuts them off and goes, so did the biscuit making bring you all closer? And they're all like kind of startled into saying yes. And she's like, great, I'm going to bake off the biscuits and you go chill out. She's basically like, get out of my establishment.
Get out of my establishment.
With your talk of fingers up each other's buttholes.
Honestly, have some shame, man.
Honestly. Or just have some fucking dignity in someone else's place of business.
Exactly. Like, I don't care. Like, if they want to talk about like fingering each other's buttholes all the live long day when they're in their rooms or in a private dining room, that's fine. But like, and I'm not a prude by any means at all.
Mags is teaching a class.
Right.
And they're like, we had him fingers up buttholes, put on extra gloves. There's shit
gloves.
on her fingers.
Right,
and
exactly.
She's like, these are my countertops where I bake things for people to buy. Like, please take your shit fingers out of here.
No shame, man. Tamara never has shame, though. Tamara's shameless.
True.
And that is a feature, not a bug. She's okay with it. And I don't know. Katie at the end of, oh no, go ahead, please.
I was just going to say we briefly touched down in the forest again when Jenny is telling them to listen to every sound. And all anyone can hear is Shannon's hacking cough, which again, to me is just like, you're drunk.
You're drunk. Great. Yeah, you were up all night. Or snoring or something. Right, exactly. Katie wants to talk to Heather again, and Dubrow says they're going backwards. We're going backwards, Katie. We're going back. She cuts her off. We're going backwards. No curiosity. She's right. Katie's wrong. This is the world that Heather is committed to living in. It's what makes her safe. This is her coping mechanism. I must be perfect. I must be right. And everyone else is beneath me and below me. And it's not the flex you think it is, to quote the young people.
No, it's so dismissive and so dehumanizing the way Heather treats Katie. It's really unpleasant to watch.
Yeah.
She won't let her finish a sentence. She literally won't let Katie get to the end of a thought before she's like, Katie's like, I want to talk to you. We're going backwards. And I really do think it's because Terry was going to arrive for this event and she was afraid that Disney paparazzi pictures would be in the discussion again. It's just like, hear her out. She's trying to say
things I don't even consider.
I don't know if I do or I don't, but all of it could be avoided with Heather just sitting still for 60 seconds and letting Katie finish a thought.
After the fucking forest bathing, which is all about having an open mind and just noticing.
And they're drinking stress ease tea.
And she can't,
come on, man.
She can't even go along for 5. After that, I would at least have 10 to 15 minutes, ideally an hour, of trying to embody what I had just been walked through for an hour.
That's what poor Jenny was hoping for, but she was just, Jenny's exiting line without any punctuation was like, enjoy the tea. It was a pleasure to meet you all and share this practice with you. Like, as she was leaving, she just was like, bye, fuck off. You ruined this forest.
Honestly, you ruined it. You ruined it. You ruined it.
And then Heather, as they're all getting up to leave, she makes a point of turning to Shannon and saying, like, you need makeup. Did you hear that?
Oh, I heard it.
Wow.
Oh, I sure did.
I was like, I sure did. Once again, miss the point of the forest bath much?
Yeah.
Like, you're really just going to immediately go for a superficial slam of your, like, clearly drunk and distraught friend? Ugh. Heather
would, but she doesn't understand. Heather is so contrived and so controlled, just tight into it. Does she ever have a moment of breaking down? Does she ever have a breakdown?
I'm sure her farts smell like, when you squeeze the balloon at the top and pull it to the side to let the air out. And just like I'm sure everything about her is that tense.
I'm messy and I can get really dysregulated when I can't find my keys, or if I have shit in 3 purses around the house, I can't find them, I'm running late. Like, it's not fun to live in my house in a moment like that. But at least I have other parts of my humanity that counterbalance that or eclipse that, where people want to, like, does anyone want to hang out with her besides Terry, who's legally and contractually bound to?
No.
And these women, that they're getting paid to hang out. Like,
it's all a performance. Like, nothing about her is, there's no piece of furniture in her house where I feel like I could relax. Nothing to drink out of or eat off of there that doesn't feel like it's museum grade quality. Like, everything is for show, including her whole existence. I still don't know anything about what she is. The only time she shows emotion is when the image she's trying to present is threatened. That's the only time. That's when she said, don't you ever come for my family again. Because now someone is threatening to, like, real or imagined, expose something.
Expose the non-perfection.
The
pull
human
the curtain,
part. Yeah.
Pull
and
the curtain
even
back.
with her children, being non-binary and trans, she's turned that into a cause. So no one can, now it's part of her. It defines her as a mother and an activist. Mm-hmm. It's like, can't you just, like, I would love to see what the actual transition was like for a parent. Like, this is ridiculous, but Cher has been really open about what that experience was like for her, saying goodbye to a daughter and welcoming a son. Mm-hmm. And the whole time, the spirit of that soul was the same, but there was a grieving process to let go of who you knew and reimagine that love in this new body that makes much more sense to the person occupying it. And I loved hearing her talk about that. And I think it was such a tribute to Chaz to be like, this is how I honor you, by going through this with you. I have a friend who transitioned and he always says, this is your transition too, because I knew him for decades before he transitioned and will occasionally still misgender just out of being unconscious in a moment here and there. And he's so generous with like being patient with that. And like Heather's already perfect and she's an
Heather's
activist and she
already
did it.
perfect.
She is already doing everything exactly right. She would never misgender. She got it right on the first day and her child came out and it was that simple. They just said, I'm bi, here we go. It's like, were there no discussions? Was there no curiosity? Like you said, is there any curiosity about process? Could you help a kid in how they might approach their parent? No, it's just like, I'm selling basics. And that will help this cause in this crunchy town up north. Aren't I progressive?
Right. Exactly.
Bye.
Exactly. Yeah. I hear the lack of patience coming from both of us. And I know that on this podcast where we look at things through the lens of all the years we've been to therapy, it's just I am at a fever fucking pitch at this point with this ridiculousness. And I think what's happening is I really hope that people aren't falling for her bullshit. And you just explained it all. Like we haven't seen it. And if she really wants to like do what she thinks she's doing, which is bringing visibility, give us the whole thing. Give us the whole thing. Give us when you found out, how did you feel? When, what was it like watching your child navigate this transition? You know, what did it stir up for you? What were the hard parts? Instead, it's just like, we have money, they have opportunities, we support them, boom, done. And that's like everything. Like everything's just
it leaves
wrapped
so
up
many
in
people
tissue
behind.
paper.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
It leaves so many people behind. And I think that's probably why I'm irritated is like, I've had that feeling so many times in my life where people are like, well, just stop doing this self-destructive thing or just do that. That's what and it's like, people are so impatient with process. And it leads to this results-driven life, this achievement-driven life that is so, in my experience, it's just false. It leaves
empty.
out all the best and it leaves out all the worst parts.
Yes.
So that if I'm a person going through something and I see someone who one day had a life that made sense to them in this way, and the next day it makes perfect sense to them in this way, and there's nothing in between, then I feel like a fucking failure through all of my stumbles as I try to get from one side of the river to the next. They're just there. They blink their eyes and they materialize on the other side. And they're like, what's your problem? Oh, I'm sorry you don't have it as easy as me. I'm over
here. That's
here.
what Heather wants. That's what she wants. That's how she makes that's how she fills that hole that you and I filled with food or dieting or starving or over-exercising, or Shannon and Sutton fill with fucking, Belvedere or whatever, what Dorit fills with her Instagram filters, photos and her fake fucking labels. It's like everyone has their thing. And lest anyone get it twisted, this is not authentic. Heather Dubrow is a caricature. She is one-dimensional. She is not real. She's not.
And it's so interesting because in like storytelling, she edits out the most interesting parts. Like if this was a story being told on TV, they wouldn't show her giving the speech at the fashion show. If something had to hit the cutting room floor, it would be that. They would show the drama and the joys and the release of all of the stuff in between. But Heather just goes from one clean, sterile thing to the next clean, sterile thing.
Exactly.
And now we move on and sort of shame on Bravo for like letting her do that. It just feels like but maybe that's the point of the show is like if you have enough money, you get to bypass the hard parts and just sell white
Kyle.
shirts. Right.
Cough, fucking Kyle Richards,
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is also like, it's what the fans want. It's what the fans want. They love fancy pants. They love fancy pants. And they don't know why people like you and me have to want our housewives to show us more.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder that too. Sometimes I'm like, Ramona, you know what you're fighting against City Hall. This is the accepting the things I cannot change. This is what I've signed up for by being a Bravo fan and watching these shows. But on this podcast, I like to talk about Heather's faults.
Yes. And again, it all comes back to me. Any outsized reaction I have toward any one of these women has nothing to do with them. I literally do not think about them in the hours that, I watch them for an hour a week on my TV.
Yep.
And they are not haunting me any other minute of any other day.
You're right.
So
You're
any reaction
right.
I'm having is about how I felt left behind because people expected a simple, clean transition from one moment in my life to the next, you know, and there were hard parts that people overlooked and were impatient with me, and people got to lie and say that they were on the other side of a heartbreak or an eating disorder or whatever it was. And because I'm not capable of presenting like that, I, like you, had to show all the ugly parts along the way. And like I got to the other side, but like a lot of people don't want to look at like the troll crawling out from under the bridge going like, I'm going to get there.
Hardly.
But you get there.
I know what you're saying though. Yeah.
Heather was a troll for a minute at some point along the way. She had feelings that weren't perfect, and I'm annoyed that she gets to hide them, because I don't have that luxury, because I'm simply not put together. I don't have the kind of like curtains that Heather can drop to hide parts of herself. I'm so fast to cry. I'm so fast to laugh. I can't hide shit. And so that's where I get like resentful and envious in weird ways of people like Heather, who can just like put on a new outfit and everything's fine. And now I'm this mom. I'm an activist mom.
But you're the one that's had friends up until like through the double fucking digits that have seen you in every iteration of every emotion. And we keep coming back for more and cherishing you more because of everything that you've shown us. And I know I can speak on behalf of all of like your friends that I am mutual friends with, you know, like.
Well, and I feel the same about you. It's why we're so close. Yeah. Nobody walked away. Nobody pulled a Tamra. Nobody. Anytime someone got deeper into a hole or started pulling themselves out of it or got to the top of the mountain, we've been there for each other every step of every experience. And it makes the highs, it's so powerful to witness the highs, and it's so powerful to move through the lows with someone. Yeah. You know, like, and Heather won't ever have that experience. And I think I resent her for not wanting it. I'm like, don't you want to be human?
That's what it is. Yes.
You're just a mannequin.
You're just someone who's concerned with how much you're going to sell your houses for.
And what you look like. And you look great. Congratulations. Because in a way, that's all I want. I want to be rich and look great all the time. So if I'm to reduce it to its, most reductive state, Heather has everything I want, and it looks like it sucks. So, I guess it's not what I really want, and that's a bummer.
Yeah.
She's ruining my fantasy. Heather.
I don't want what she has. Yeah.
Me neither.
But it does make me, just to wrap that up, it makes me feel really rich. I feel like these are my priorities, are my human relationships. My priorities are being the best person I can be, raising the best person I can raise, being a friend in the best way I can be. And it's like those are what drive my feelings of success and failure. And I am so grateful to thank you, Bravo. Thank you, Heather Dubrow, for reminding me that I am walking the path I want to walk. So good. I'm glad that I could see that in the midst of this episode that just made me full of rage.
Yeah,
Arrivals at Star Vineyards for the quote unquote fashion show. And Jen, I too need lashes and a Diet Coke. Every day I need lashes and a Diet Coke.
Yeah, that was a really relatable statement.
I loved it. Put that on a put that on a t-shirt. Put that on a t-shirt.
I did die laughing because Heather, this whole event, it's Heather being like, you know what? It's really hard to find basics.
Oh my God, Margie.
And a year ago, you coined the term luxury basic for Orange County. And I was like, Heather has literally turned it into a brand.
I was so enraged. I was so enraged. And I'm not saying I wouldn't talk about the scene with my therapist, but I'm not saying I wouldn't not talk about the scene with my therapist. But Heather introduces the ladies and us to designer Susan Bender, and then launches into the most inane and stupid and egregious and wrong confessional, detailing how she and Susan had a convo discussing how hard it is to find the basic black plant and the perfect white shirt. And I was like, bitch, here is a list off the top of my fucking head. I promise you, nobody is walking into Bloomingdale's wondering where the basic is, because there's Theory, there's Rag and Bone, there's probably a J. Crew in the mall, there's also a Jenny Kane. Like,
Heather didn't solve the problem, because as we find out, every shirt was tailor-made to each body. You didn't solve the problem. You know, like if you get a shirt and pants tailored to your body, then of course there's no trouble finding your basic on the rack because it's not on the rack. She's so full of crap.
No, if anybody is wondering where their basic is, and is Heather Dubrow the one that's going to save you? Is she going to be your basic savior? Is she going to be your savior of perfect black pants? Didn't she say slacks too? She thinks she fucking said slacks. She sucks.
She said slacks, but she also said, didn't she say slay? Oh yeah, she's like, all these women are moms and they slay.
That
and I
made
was like,
me mad.
Don't say slay. Like,
don't say slay, and don't just be like, and they're all moms. Like, listen, great.
Don't get me started.
Oh, I know, but like that's just what.
And it is great. And moms do need to be celebrated because they are gravely underappreciated. But also, like, okay, just, and also it's just coming from Heather. It's like, what kind of a mom are you? There's nothing like nurturing and comforting about her. Anyways.
I know.
She's the most. So she gives 2 self-congratulatory speeches in this episode. And that was the first one, saying like, I solved the luxury basic problem and all of the proceeds only from the pre-sale are going to this lovely charity who I'll never talk to again, I'm sure. And then the fashion show starts and
my God, dude.
Tamara, I was like legitimately grossed out by Tamara flirting with Terry. And Terry flirting back.
Yeah.
It was just gross.
Yeah.
Because again, we're at a family equality of just like, what are we doing?
I know.
Guys, what are we doing?
I wanted to just like back up a little bit with Emily discussing her clothes at the fashion show.
Yes,
and
of
the listen, I have at times in my life, like I've definitely been the biggest girl in the room or one of the bigger girls in the room. Margie, I would go on auditions, and when I had to go on auditions in LA, when we were still going to, when I still lived there and when auditions were still happening like in real life, it wasn't uncommon for me to walk in and to sign in. You have to write down your name, the name of your agency, and then your fucking size. I was in a thing of 2s and 4s, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. There I am, 8. There I am, 10. You know, you're not supposed to go in psyched out already. And it's like the minute I walked in and had to look at that sign-in sheet, I was like, why am I here? Why am I here with women whose, their thigh is like the size of my upper arm? Like, why am I here? What am I doing? So I have that experience. I am confident I can share an experience in my, how I feel about my body with what Emily's describing. And I do feel like she was projecting a lot. I am not convinced that Heather wasn't trying to fuck with Emily a little bit, like telling her to bring her own jeans.
And Heather was too aware, like throughout the event, she was like, are you okay? This is oversized. It's supposed to be oversized. You're going to have the same dress as Alexis. Yours is bigger, hers is smaller, but it's like she was too conscious of everything she was saying and too aware that Emily was in pain to not have known what she was doing. Emily's right. She, as we've seen in the previews, Emily says, Heather looks at me like the big girl. And in this episode, I was like, she does.
Yeah.
She does.
And when she's asking Emily, like, are you okay? Are you okay? It's not like, are you okay? It's a thinly veiled threat. Like, bitch, you better keep it together for this fucking event.
You're my plus size, fatty. Get out there.
Well, that and like, you are not going to make me not be perfect in this. This is going to go off flawlessly. And I cannot have you being a Debbie Downer or having some attitude. And there's no way she's going to think that it's anything to do with a self-esteem issue on Emily's part or a part of Emily that hurts and that is tender and sore and like always kind of there, because once you have body issues, like they don't go away no matter what. Like they just get easier to manage. You just know how to talk about them and talk to yourself through them. But they're not going away. No, go ahead.
I know we were talking about it before we started recording of like the body dysmorphia is so real. And I was telling you, like, Emily looked gorgeous to me.
Stunning.
Like,
She's a beautiful
literally breathtakingly stunning on the runway. The colors suited her perfectly. The fit was perfect. She looked gorgeous. And she was so trapped in her dysmorphia that she couldn't enjoy how fucking great she looked. And it's not about her weight. She just looked fucking beautiful. She looks beautiful. But in a moment where someone says, here's an oversized jacket, all she's thinking is, my arms are fat. Have I really lost weight? I'm a disgusting pig.
My
Like
God.
all of the old tapes immediately go full blast, high volume. And, you know, she did a great job showing up for Heather and delivering on that runway when she felt like shit.
I agree.
I hope she watched it back and was like, oh my God, I look amazing. Like, I hope her headspace cleared and let her see, like.
And again, this is going to, of the two people in this scene, who's going to be the more relatable one? Who's going to be the one that we can understand more?
Who do I want to be?
Exactly.
I want to be Emily.
I want to be Emily.
I'd rather be Emily
Dubrow.
with principles and body dysmorphia than Heather Dubrow with
and
money
honesty
and just cold distance
and
from
a tight
humanity.
Fucking bun that I don't know. Leave that to Gwen Stefani, who's also problematic. I'm sorry. Like, God damn it. Problematic Flav. Terry shows up and Heather says in her confessional, she's lucky that she found a life partner who's truly her partner. And I just wrote, I don't think they fuck. They seem to not vibe in any affectionate way. Am I a hateful bitch? I don't know.
I don't disagree. There's nothing.
It's not my business, but I just don't think that they do.
No, I don't get any of that.
I don't get
energy between the two of them.
Yeah, I don't get like Emily and Shane. Like, you know that they fuck. You might not want to visualize them fucking, like, you know. But again, I maintain that Shane and Emily are freaky deaky in that bedroom.
Absolutely, and I think it keeps their relationship like vital and alive. But no, Heather. But I did believe her. She did say, you know, that she thinks she's a lucky person because she's truly found her life partner. And whatever the dynamic of that relationship is, I think that's true. He does show up for her in the way that she likes. He looks nice. He's on time. He showed up. And to Heather, that's love. To me, that's just like, again, to me, that's a performance. But to Heather, that's what she wants in her life partner. So once again, she congratulates herself on landing the man of a lifetime. Poor everybody else.
You're right.
I got the good one.
She's just... Oh, my God. I'm dying to know if anyone's listening and wants to throw us an email at atherapeuticdose@gmail.com or message us on Instagram. Tell me, help me. I'm curious to know what I'm missing about Heather. If I'm missing something, I want to know what it is, I promise. And I will have an open mind. I invite you. Anyway.
Yeah. And speaking of which, Tamra pulls Heather aside and asks Heather to hear Katie out because, again, in this extended game of telephone that is this episode, Tamra tells Heather that Katie told her that Gina put Katie up to saying the paparazzi thing. And then Tamra adds on because Gina didn't want to do it herself because she wants to protect her real estate connections made through Heather. And Heather is immediately shuts up and is suddenly ready to listen to Katie and is like, well, Gina's lost that privilege or whatever the fuck. And I don't know. Heather said, I don't have space in my brain for this right now. And I was like, me neither.
Honestly.
I just don't care.
This is what pissed me off about this scene. It's Heather's big event. And for some reason, Heather can make an exception for a conversation with Tamra, but lest anybody else bring anything up. And it's like, because it gives her an opportunity to talk shit about Katie. And so, let me just be full hip and I'll set aside all of the boundaries I set with everybody else that no one else was going to fuck this goddamn event up, you guys. Right? Giving that metaphorical pinch to your kid's arm. Not that I've ever done this, but back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Like,
80s.
Nope, you look perfect. You're going to look perfect right now when you're introduced to so-and-so at your dad's office.
Hair pull.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's like you're not... Just with Tamra of all fucking people. With Tamra. Just like, Margie, what?
Yeah, yes. Tamra is really, again, just completely out of line and just exaggerating. Like when we later get to that lunch, we find out that what Gina said, if anything, was that Heather supports her real estate career, helps her with her real estate career. And it's like, so she didn't say, I can't say this because then I'll lose my real estate connections so I need you to like twirling her mustache and tenting her fingers. It's like, I don't think anything nefarious happened here. And once again, I can't say it enough. It's about Disneyland paparazzi photographs. Like, are we really still trying to turn up the heat under this stupid soup? Okay.
Oh my God, that was amazing. Oh, yeah, yeah. Just to talk a little bit about therapy in this scene, and it comes from a very, like, you're going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Well, maybe you won't, but the light in that scene, while it was beautiful, any light that isn't like bright summer light, like as we're transitioning into fall right now, the light looked similar to the light that they shot that scene in, even though I know that that scene happened in late winter. It's like when the weather and the seasons start to shift into the ones where it makes the nighttime last longer, it gives me such a feeling of dread and anxiety, because at least the summer gave me light that I could count on amidst the darkness that was going on under my roof. But when the outside, like when the atmosphere had the same look and feel as the inside of my house, I had nowhere to find refuge. And so that light on TV, in real life, it gives me so much anxiety. That anxiety that's like, you're not safe. The not safe time is coming. It's so crazy. It's just the light. But that's what came up for me yesterday watching this.
As you're describing it, I'm feeling the same sort of tension in my heart, like in my chest. It's like, right. And I think I've shared probably on this podcast before that there's a particular time of day, like around 4 or 5 p.m. when an owl goes like, hoo, 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 hoo. That was the time of night where like the terror started to set in our household. And so anytime I hear that particular cadence of a hooting owl, I'm always like, the same thing you're describing. It's weird,
I know that people really love fall, and this time of year they're like, they're so horny for fall to set in earnest. And I'm just like the dog with the feet on the floor, not wanting to get in the car to go to the vet. Like, don't take that one safety net away from me, which is the light, the full strength light. Not the anemic
and the warmth,
light.
like you can get outside without having to like get a coat. Like if you need, there's a readiness for escape.
Yeah.
There's more hours of daylight and more friendly weather. And I'm with you. I don't fall when the time change happens. I just am like, God. I'm a disaster. And everyone's like, we gain an hour. I'm like, we don't. We gain nothing.
We gain darkness
and sadness for months.
Exactly.
I hope you're happy.
Exactly. Okay. Well, good. I'm not. Because I was.
I love that. No,
maybe that's itchy.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Sorry, I was jumping all over the place. My notes are out of control.
It's okay.
I don't know what's going on. I'm so sorry.
No,
this is the fashion show now.
This is the fashion show,
Sorry.
and it's true. Like, I had the same note. Like, my God, Tamara is so one-dimensional. I'm just so over her. It's just like hypersexuality, and standing on a soapbox that's built on a foundation of lies and wrongness. She's just repellent. She's repellent.
And all of the clothes are forgettable.
Completely.
There's nothing that was interesting in this fashion show whatsoever.
Basics. Can't find basics, please.
Oh
please.
My God. And the last thing we need a fashion show for is basics. It's just like, okay, dude. Especially, I don't know
pleather
if you've seen...
basics. Anyway.
Oh my God.
And I have nothing against pleather, okay? I'm right now, as we speak, I'm like monitoring a pair of faux leather leggings on ThreadUp that I can get for a crazy low price with tags. I am not dissing pleather. I'm just saying this was not the thing that Heather thought it was.
Well, and this happened to air in the same week as New York Fashion Week getting underway. So like you're seeing all these like crazy avant-garde artistic styles walking down, open air runways. And it's just like such a cool, like it's like installation art. It's amazing what New York Fashion Week has become. And then to see this, like, a couple of ladies clip-clopping down a catwalk with some pants, some slacks on. I was just
and
like,
a black
oh, boo.
sheath. Like,
Yeah,
God, boring.
no thank you. With a belt,
boring,
okay.
right? Like, theory. Just theory. It's done. It's done.
I mean,
Jesus.
there's a place for your basic out there, but like
Right.
Heather Dubrow is not. And especially, again, if it's only pre-sale profits that go to the
Pre-sale launch.
organization, it's like there's absolutely no reason to track
She was
this
just
stuff
looking
down.
for excuses to use industry lingo like capsule, pre-sale, launch, blah.
And she gives herself her second self-congratulatory speech. This is the one where she basically says, nobody does it like we do. Poor everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I did appreciate Alexis had a confessional where she said, you know, I get to live my life essentially without fear or apology, and I want the same for my kids. And I was like, I like you for that soundbite.
Yeah.
So,
And that seemed heartfelt. It didn't seem like something you're going to write on the mission statement of a website. Go off, Heather, to say what the young kids say. Go off, but go off. Yeah. And then Heather makes the comment at the end, like, all the models were moms. And I'm like, who cares? Like, yes, it is hard to be a mom. It should be more like how hard it is should be more normalized. I know that it's not because like everyone does it a million times a day, all day, every day. Like I get it. And I'm not putting down the workload, but it's like, again, it doesn't make them more valuable than any other
also, it
models.
was just a weird thing. It's like in this circumstance, they're all housewives. That's why they're here. If it would have been really interesting if she said these are all moms of, you know, transgender, non-binary, you know, LGBTQ community
Margie.
children.
Yes.
That would have been of interest. But just to say like, here are moms, it's like, but that's not what they are right now.
Here are some moms that
they're
flew
right
up.
now. They're housewives on vacation. That's what they are right now. So
and they flew up on a private jet.
Right.
They flew up on a private jet.
And they're behaving in accordance with my agenda. And so I have control over all those little puppets. Everybody applaud.
Oh my God, dude.
Speaking of which, this is in the, you know, at some point during this reception, Heather tells Gina, I think she tells both Gina and Katie separately, like, we're going to talk tomorrow. Like she says it to Gina in a threatening way, in the super manipulative, like, what did she say? We're going to bust it all out of the box or something ridiculous. So it's just putting Gina on eggshells, you know, for the next 12 hours.
Puts her glasses on and then says, okay, we're good. Like, you're dismissed.
And then she did the same with Katie. Like, oh, I'll let you talk to me tomorrow.
Yep.
I know you wanted to talk to me. The time you chose to do it was inappropriate. But now that Tamara has informed me that Gina's a bitch, I want to hear your gossip.
And
so
now
I'll
that
let
my
you
event
talk
is
to me.
over, I'll make some space for Emily to like cry to me about how I, you know, low-key fat shamed her, and Katie can finally finish her sentence. I will allow it. I'll allow it. I'll make some space.
Because now it's an appropriate time.
Inclusivity.
Ugh, gross.
Jesus.
And then Shannon is ready to go. And Alexis was hoping to have a conversation with her, which is just insane on Alexis's part and insane on the part of everyone who encouraged her to have this conversation.
It's also, I just want to point this out really quick. Heather gives her blessing that this summit can go down if both parties are willing to participate. Heather says, oh, okay, yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that. Oh, God.
And also, it's just so ill-advised, like, because it's not coming from any genuine place. Basically, what I hear Alexis saying is, like, I'm not getting to shoot enough. I'm not getting enough filming time. So I need to change this. So she spent the whole first half of the season being an absolute bully to Shannon. And now she's like, this isn't working out for the hours that I get to put in on camera. So I'm just going to say, like, let's smooth it over. And I did appreciate Shannon for saying, like her friends say, Emily says, will you talk to her? And she's like, she goes, it's not healthy. No.
Right?
She just shrieked.
It's not.
And then Alexis, as Shannon's leaving and saying goodbye, Alexis, I don't know if you noticed, reached up to hug Shannon. And Shannon was like, no. I'm just here to say I heard you want to talk to me and I'm not open to that. And then she left. And Alexis was like shocked. She's like, she said no. She said she's not going to talk to me. Can you believe it? I'm like, it's the only believable thing in this whole fucking episode. Yes. Of course she's not going to talk. Now, all of a sudden,
Yeah.
after John Jansen just turned down her offer of a full settlement and all she asked was a mutual non-disparagement agreement, why is she going to talk to you? You're crazy. You're crazy. She's crazy.
I just had to remind myself to take a deep breath because I'm really taking these women's behavior personally. They wouldn't recognize me on the street. Hilarious.
I know. And I wouldn't recognize them. I wouldn't have an eye out for them. It's just like, it stirs me up.
Oh, God. So the next morning we have various FaceTimes and phone calls with people back home. Wank, wank. Gina says she feels the weight of the world on her shoulders. Honk shoe, tiny fucking violin. Katie tells Matt that Gina threw her under the bus, and they check out and head to another Russian River business that doesn't give a flying fuck about these OC women, and I love it.
The guy sitting on the counter at the back of the store was just like, hey, guys, we got your bikes.
Kicking his feet like a child. Like, you know what? No one is going to make me jump for these idiots.
Nope.
And I loved it. I loved it.
It was great.
They're like, we don't know you.
Yeah. I really didn't have much about this because to me, again, they ride bikes through a puddle of water, which seems to really throw Heather.
Oh my God, dude.
She's ridiculous. And then they land at this place to have lunch. And I don't know. I really didn't have anything because, again, these are all arguments that I don't care about. They're centered around Disneyland paparazzi pictures and Gina and Travis, which I just think is bullshit. The fact that Gina is confused at all. I've lost all patience with her being confused by why Travis is having feelings.
Me too.
And she's like, I'm considering 7 people and 2 dogs'
feelings.
You're not. You didn't. You kicked them out. And now they don't like you. And so now you're having feelings about them having feelings. And so anyways, this lunch, I just threw my hands up and I was like, I don't care.
Lunch. Fuck
okay,
it.
Thank
Fuck
you.
This
Good.
lunch. I'm flipping off this lunch with both of my middle fingers.
Because I don't care about Katie. Tamara's a rotten bitch standing up and yelling. And I just was like, and it's all the same stuff. This is all about Katie revealing that Heather asked for paparazzi to come to Disneyland to take a prom-style posed photo. This is about Gina kicking her boyfriend and his children out of her home and then feeling like her life is falling apart. She's going to lose everything. It's like, you got rid of everything. So that was it. I just couldn't with this lunch.
I don't know. Katie and Gina make up, and I don't know how that happens because the accusations they're making against each other are so gnarly. Like, they're both throwing on in my opinion, pretty gnarly lies. Like that the other one was.
But at a certain point, Gina just said, like, I have bigger stuff going on. This is stupid. And Katie went, this is stupid. And I was like, this has all been stupid.
It's been 10
so
weeks
you've
of
put
stupid.
us through 10 weeks of stupid. And now I'm mad at you all. And, you know, next week does look interesting. I don't know what Emily gets upset about, but she yells at everybody and I love her for it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what that is. But
me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
This whole trip to wherever they were, Gewürztraminer, what's it called?
Gurnville.
Thank you.
Gurnville. They went to Gurnville.
Gurnville was like, I don't know, guys.
I just want to. Maybe I'll take Leo to Gurnville one day. We'll just go make some biscuits.
It looked adorable up there.
It's a day trip. We could do a day trip.
That would be so fun.
Yeah, it would be nice and fall.
That biscuit place looked great when they initially showed all the baskets of goods. I was like, ooh,
I know. So
Mags.
I wonder if Picnic will start. I don't know. I don't think that they probably are one of the like must stops on any list of like what to see in Gurnville. I'm sure that they're on there. So I don't know. They don't think they need the fucking Bravo bump.
It can't hurt, you know.
No, it can't. But
they did look like legitimate small businesses just getting by. Again, the guy sitting on the counter kicking his feet in the bike shop was like, he's a guy who's just like, did we make the rent this month? Great. We're doing great,
exactly,
guys.
Exactly. I'm gonna go drink my craft IPA and fucking walk my rescue dog and smoke some cannabis. Friend, what else did you watch this week?
Well, I texted you during the week because I started watching The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Yes.
And it's fascinating. So I had it on while I'm working, so I didn't watch it as much as like listen to it while I was doing other things. But there's a lot going on. It's really interesting to me watching people who are raised in an incredibly conservative religion wrestle with just basic human desires for like, you know, sex and alcohol and caffeine and ketamine and like the way Botox, like it's all funneled in through, and acceptance and inclusion and understanding and like all these things. It's really, it's a pretty heavy condemnation of organized religion on that level. But they do mention there's one woman who does ketamine therapy. She does the infusion treatment. Her husband does not, but he's in the room and she's able to talk with him more freely when she's in that treatment. And she said it's solved things in their marriage and it's helped her with her friendship. So I thought you would be pleased to hear that.
I am.
Like,
I'm
it's
very
getting some good airtime.
I can't wait, especially now more than ever. We need to have this medicine seen for its contributions, not what it's. Yeah, I am terrified for what all of this stuff with Matthew Perry is going to do. I'm terrified.
I mean, but this is, I think that is so clearly his dosage was so outside of the realm of any human body being able to manage. He'd been addicted for years. Like his system was just conditioned in a way no one else's ever could be, probably. But to hear a young woman talk about it, and now I haven't watched the whole season, so I don't know what happens with her and her husband. Nobody's in a healthy relationship, I'll say that. So I don't know how that all shakes out, but it was a good representation of ketamine therapy. And the other women were like curious about it. They were like, that sounds great. I want to try that. And I was like, okay,
good.
Go Mormons, go.
As long as they're doing it with a reputable provider that provides, I'll save that.
It sounds like they are. She said that there's someone who does the infusion and then a therapist in the room with her husband there and to facilitate the conversation to help,
okay, good,
and support their marriage.
I'll reserve my immediate.
I mean, I'm sure it's not perfect
criticism, but yeah, because I want people to understand that, like, yes, the trip part is fucking amazing, but the integration, the setting up what you want to achieve during your journey and the integration of the journey with what your intention was is as important. It's not as sexy. It's not as
but
whatever.
This girl talked about that because one of the other girls was like, I tried that and I just felt like I was in a cartoon. And she was like, oh, well, you didn't go far enough with it. Like, you have to sit down and have these conversations. And I was like, okay, so they're really talking about the mechanics of a drug trip versus a therapeutic administration
exactly.
of the drug. So
the intention is all about it. Yes.
What did you watch?
I watched, as far as scripted stuff, I think we probably watched an episode or two of Only Murders in the Building. Righteous Gemstones. We started it and then gave it up. Again, just my attention span it could use some work. But we're towards the end of season 2, and I just think that show is so full of comedic and improv geniuses. Oh, it's just so I love it. I love that show so much. It is so wacky, and the more I learn about how Danny McBride's mind works, the more I want to know. And so
I love that cast.
Yeah, I do
hilarious.
too. And then Summer House, just more of the same, but it's just so good. I'm so grateful that I can watch it without commercials. I'm so grateful I get to binge it. I'm so grateful that I watched season 8 first, and then I get to go back and fill it all in with the previous 7 seasons. Summer House, man, best show on Bravo as far as I'm concerned. And I am humbled and contrite. And I apologize again. And I will, if I need to do it every week that I'm watching it, that I didn't take it seriously, I'm happy to. I admit when I'm wrong.
Hey, man, when we know better, we do better. Okay?
I love it. That's hilarious. And what was your antidepressant this week?
My antidepressant this week, I think I feel like they're getting repetitive, but they're so meaningful to me. Like, just like time with friends and family. Like right before we got on to record, I was FaceTiming with my niece who's in college. And I just love that that's an option, that I can connect with her in that way and see her. And I got to spend time with my goddaughter and her mom, who's one of my dearest friends. And it's just like, I'm so energized by young people. Like, it's really true. They're so, the way they move through the world, the things they think about, the things that matter to them. helps me refocus what matters to me, because they
Mm-hmm.
matter most to me. So
Mm-hmm.
it's once I talk to them, I'm like, oh, the things that matter to you are actually the things that matter the most to me, that you're like safe and trying and, finding joy.
Yeah.
So it's a real great way to sort of like reduce and remind myself of my priorities because mine get real, whatever. Once you're an adult, it becomes, I can get confused as to what really matters. But I had a weekend where I got to focus on what really matters, and that was great. How about you?
Well, a literal antidepressant, I got to do ketamine assisted psychotherapy in the doctor's office this week. I had not gone in for an intramuscular session since June, and it was like I was way overdue. Like all of us could tell, like Josh and I, and I'm sure my kid, like it really helps my brain function. And I had run out of the rapidly dissolving tablets that I can do at home. So I hadn't had a home session in, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks. And then I hadn't had the one in the office, which is infinitely more powerful, since June. So I got to do that. And it was, you know, it was, it's always what the doctor ordered. It helps to right size my brain, I think, but it also kind of like ripped off the little bit of the scab that maybe was helping me not get so reactionary to some things, because I don't like it when I do ketamine assisted psychotherapy. If you hear me say the term CAP, that's what I'm saying. So when I do CAP, but then 24 hours later, I don't have any patience behind the wheel of someone that's like looking down at their phone with a light turns green and I'm like, with my horn, like Josh was like, dude, did you really just do ketamine like less than 24 hours ago? Because why are you acting like such a raging bitch? And I'm like, I think that I was holding things in, and that gave me the permission to kind of like let it go. And so I'm a work in progress. I definitely need to. I cannot control things, and all the honking in the world at people who don't drive as well as I think they should is not going to make my life better. I'm now of an age where people could be like, oh, why is she being a Karen? And fuck that. So I did that. And then also, like, this is a quasi gratitude, but also when I feel grateful for things, they do have an antidepressant quality to my life. So I've had a lot of on camera auditions this week that we have to record them at home now because of COVID, which is actually fine. But I realize, like, no matter what mood I'm in or how I'm feeling about myself before I record it, and when I think it's gonna I'm gonna take that energy in with me, it doesn't happen. Like, my abilities as an actor overshine that energy. I'm able to just show up and be vulnerable and be honest. And again, these are just for like commercials or print jobs or whatever. But, um, you know, I'm eager to get the call that I've booked it or done the callback. And I, have yet to see one of those from these three, but I did them and that was good. And they're hard and they're time consuming, and
It's getting your reps in,
it's getting
man.
my reps in. I'm getting my reps
Yeah.
in. And for that, I am grateful. And it does feel like an antidepressant when I complete an audition and upload the link to Dropbox, you know?
Yeah. It's that
So
whole concept of success is just an accumulation of failures.
you're
It's like
right.
there's
You're
no
right.
way to build a staircase without the first step.
Yep.
So
You're right. You're right.
I'm so proud of you for
Thank
doing
you.
that.
I think of you every time because, like, I get it. And that pang of fear comes up. And, like, I look and I'm like, what excuse can I use for not accepting this audition? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
none, bitch. None.
Mm-hmm.
Just do them. And I got them in before the due date, like days before the due date or a day before the due date. Like, I
That's
wasn't scrambling. I
huge.
know. I know. You're right. It is. Because I
Yeah.
was mature and I looked at my schedule and I was like, you don't want to be spending frantic hours before the due date. Just do it now. It's a slog, dude. Makeup,
It's
hair, setting up fucking lighting. Oh, I've got shadows. Let's rearrange the lights 50 times. It's just insanity.
And it all prepares you for like each one gets slightly less insane because
Yeah.
now you know where the shadows are and you know what makeup and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like it's tedious. It's that
Yeah.
whole thing of like slowly and then all at once.
Yeah.
That's how anything happens.
Yeah.
So I'm just so proud of you for doing it and to get it in on time
Yeah.
before a deadline.
Yep, before a deadline.
For someone with like ADD, that's unheard of.
Yep.
That's miraculous.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
You're the grand marshal of the ADD parade this week. That's incredible.
God, thank you. I might be late, but I will be there.
Look, the crowd will be late as well. So,
I'll
it'll
show
all
up
work out
with
just fine.
A bottle of water, a coffee, and a kombucha, but I will be there. Yes. All right, everyone. We're so glad that you tuned in to listen. If you have a moment to rate, review, and subscribe as independent content creators, I can't tell you how much that helps us and means to us, even just from the little old human need for validation. That would be helpful. So make sure that you have your rate, review, subscribe, have your downloads turned on. If you want to follow us on social media, you can do so at A Therapeutic Dose on Instagram. And then you can always email us at atherapeuticdose@gmail.com. And take really good care of yourself this week. Maybe do your own forest bathing. Maybe when you're in your car, like, what do I notice? Or when you're in line waiting for your coffee, what do I notice? Is it the sound of the steam going into the pitcher with the milk? Oh, God, never mind. Never mind. Flip me off if you want. It's all good.
No, it's so, I just love what you notice. I would be like, my shoes stick to this floor. My hair is
listen,
greasy.
That's something. That's something,
No, it's all grounding. In its own way, it's all grounding.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. And we will talk next week.
Yes, we will. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Ramona and Margie are, obviously, not doctors and do not provide medical advice. Their content is intended to be used for entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to be, should not be interpreted as, or used as a substitute for medical advice or a diagnosis of any health or fitness problem, condition, or disease, nor a recommendation for a specific test, doctor, care provider, procedure, treatment plan, product, or course of action.
My mom isn't a doctor.